We always start from within, and our inner child is the most important part of loving yourself, truly loving yourself. That's why presence is really important, because the only thing a child needs is presence and loved. Yes, of course, feeling recognized, but by just being present, by just sitting with that child and said, "You're enough," but just by being you. Remember, we will always have this inner child, and that inner child carries a mindset that once it's seen, most of the job is done. The rest is all about patience, compassion, and love towards yourself, mainly towards your inner child. Hello, hello, hello. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Beyond You. This is one of my favorite episodes. We're going to talk about inner child. I'm very close to it, to this episode, because I think it is still a journey for me. I want to start by saying that no matter whether you're 20, 30, 36, 40, 50, you will always have your inner child within. Okay? And it's very important for us to understand that he has his own ways of talking to us. Perhaps by the law of reciprocity, we can see him through our partner, as we discussed in previous episodes, by mirrors, or sometimes it's in the body by some emotions, anxious, feeling disconnected or depressed, or anger. So, what is important is to bring into awareness, or to bring into consciousness, what is unconscious. Let's start by saying that when we're all babies, the only thing that we want from our parents, some people may say love. Actually, everyone say love. And it's true. Yes, to a certain extent, it's love. Being seen, being loved, being recognized. But for me, what the top priority of a kid is presence. And this is interesting because in the age of our parents, right, they thought that love is giving the best education, the best university, the best toys, the best clothes, or even today as well, right? But what was missed is that a child only wants presence. A child only wants a mom to sit with him, to hug him, to see him, or a dad to play with him. And you know what? Eventually, we cannot blame our parents, because our parents, also in an unconscious level, they are loyal to their parents. So there is a lot of upbringing and patterns that comes from great grandfather, etc., that eventually are carried from generation to generation to our parents, and then it passes on to us. Through childhood, we we not only acquire any pattern that our parents can eventually tell us, but also we can feel it. I'll give you an example. If a mother thinks that by perhaps register the child in the best kindergarten, or the best, I don't know, Dior clothes, and the father think that uh, a child just need the best education, so then what's going to happen is, in that very early age, the child will create a mindset, a blueprint, correct? And this is eventually my case, where I always wanted my mom to see me, to recognize me. But then I was the only way for me to be seen and recognized was just through the grades, what I know, how well I behave, and not by who I am. That's why presence is really important, because the only thing a child needs is presence and loved. Yes, of course, feeling recognized, but by just being present, by just sitting with that child and said, "You're enough," but just by being you, you're blessed and you're divine, just by the beautiful being that you are. And when we don't receive that as a child, and basically our worth is based on what we can achieve, or what we know, or what we learn, or the grades that we bring, so then the mindset is outside is the validation. The validation is not by who I am, the validation is in the outside world. Then we carry that mindset through our life. And even if we know that we're worth it by the adult that we are today, that inner child that is within us already built a mindset that no, the validation is by how I look, by the money that I have in my bank account, or what did I achieve, the apartment that I bought, the car that I have, or how beautiful is my girlfriend. So basically, our inner child will always have not only the loyalty or the pattern that was given from mom and dad, but also, to a certain extent, any circumstances that the child encountered during childhood. Like in my case, for example, I was sexually abused, uh, and that, from an unconscious level, followed me to be blocked sexually and to my sexual energy being fully blocked. In another hand, as I mentioned, my mom, funny enough, she could never see me, or she could never recognize me just by being me. And in a way, I know why, because also her mother could not see her or recognize her. The only way that they show affection, it was by my mom taking care of her siblings and all the time giving. So that changing diapers, mopping the house, and this is how eventually she was recognized by her mother. And then that was passed on to me. And I built that blueprint, that mindset, where in order for me to be loved and to be recognized, I need to give, I need to perform, I need to sacrifice, I need to save people. And again, by the law of reciprocity, I was always attracting and bringing a partner who needed to be safe, who was not emotionally unavailable, because he loved me in an unconscious level by his own patterns that were matching mine as well. So when you eventually recognize that your inner child lives within you, and he's following this blueprint or this mindset that was given to him through his parents, through his upbringing, that is when the actual miracle or journey starts. And by the way, bringing from the unconscious to consciousness, discovering a pattern, is a good 70-80% of the job. And I applaud you for that, because then you have taken the inner job or the inner journey to see what is inwards. What follows? Eventually, your child learned to live on that mindset for so long. I'm 36 years old, and I think I started this journey last year. So 35 years old, by me receiving thinking or living that my worth is outside by what I give, by how I look, but by what I have. Even for me to do this public speaking, oh, this was, I could never thought of doing this, by the way, because I was always shut down because I always have to be the quiet boy, the calm boy, don't speak so loud, don't speak much, be quiet. So my inner child learned that I needed to be quiet in order to be a well behaved boy. But then my voice came out. So when I started doing Beyond You, um, I was very anxious and there was a lot of anxieties in my chest. And what happened is that I was being loyal to a pattern of always being the quiet boy. Very similar, me jumping from one relationship to another and not being able to be on my own. Okay. It was because I was never seen and recognized by my mom. So I needed to be seen and recognized and loved by by any relationship. So when I spent more than 6 months, 8 months, or a year being alone, I was anxious. I felt even alone. And that was the language of my inner child within. So how do we move forward? Right? Within the mind, within the mindset, there is a process of identification. So there is an identity that is already created in that blueprint within you. For example, the quiet boy, the introvert, don't speak that loud, don't take the mic. Okay. So, in order to kind of set ourselves free, we already seen that pattern and we see that that doesn't belong to us. We first need to tap to that inner child because there will always be an energy attached whenever we want to break the pattern. And by the way, something important, we are not our patterns. Our patterns are something that was imprinted to us or given to us by our parents or by a situation that we encountered when we were a child. So when we want to eventually overcome that pattern, the first thing that we need to do is let's connect with that inner child through that emotion. I'll give you an example. When I was doing Beyond You at the beginning, I was really anxious. So what I was doing before any recording, even before my team came to the set, I was meditating, I was connecting through the anxiety, and I was remembering every single time my parents asked me to shut down and be quiet and be seated and be the calm boy and the quiet boy. And then I look into my inner child and I told him, you don't need to follow this any longer to be seen. Because right now, we can honor our mom and our dad and do things differently. Right now, you can express yourself. Very similar when I was going for a date or when I was just sitting with myself. I used to be very anxious. And it was that inner child that was not seen or loved by his mother. So I tap into him in every single meditation and I eventually talk to him. And by the way, this is a little bit of somatic therapy because you're tapping to your body and to the emotion. And then you're going into every single memory and you're reliving that experience by the adult that you are today. And it's interesting enough because I was afraid of being alone, right? Because I wasn't seen, I wasn't recognized by being me. So the adult, we know that we're never alone. We have friends. So we're never alone. But the child doesn't know that. So what we need to do is that we need to be in contact with that child, relive every single experience, and then even through your meditation, speak out loud. See him, talk to him. If he used to have a nickname, like I used to be called Charbule, I talk to him through that nickname and I hug him and I make sure that he knows that we will do things differently because the adult that I am today is going to take care of him. So I used to do that meditation, and that is really important because what we're doing is that we're tapping to the energy and we're releasing the stock energy that is in the body from all those experiences within the inner child. Then, because we already know a pattern, in this case being the quiet boy, and we want to overcome that pattern, we need to do a small action. Let's not do a big one. So, when I started Beyond You, I didn't want to do a podcast of an hour and a half or 45 minutes and bring guest speaker, etc. Because I knew that if I try, I will fail and it's gonna be too much for my body and for my brain. I would have frozen. So every time you encounter a situation where you want to eventually do things differently, do a small action. So I decided to do episode of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes by myself, you know, because that is what I could deliver at that moment. So you do a small action, and then what you're doing is that you're hijacking your brain. Okay. And then at the end of the day, I used to look at myself at the mirror and I used to praise myself and I used to praise my inner child. By doing that, I'm attaching an emotion to that particular small action so I can spike my dopamine level. So what so that small action could be recorded in my brain as a good memory. Through last year and through season 1, in every single episode and in every single small action, okay, I was spiking more and more and more and more my dopamine level till a new process of identification sink in on my brain and on my body. And that's how you create a new identity. What is really important is that very similar is a whole combination of your soul, your body, and your mind. And remember, we will always have this inner child. And that inner child carries a mindset that once it's seen, most of the job is done. The rest is all about patience, compassion, and love towards yourself, mainly towards your inner child. And this is really important because through your meditation, you may encounter that your inner child is totally disconnected from you, or he's angry, or he just can't stop crying. Give him time. As I mentioned in my first at the beginning, the only thing that the child needs is presence. So continue doing your meditation and be patient with yourself. Be patient with your inner child. Just hold him and tell him, I'm happy to be here and I will give you all the time that you need for you to accept me. Because I, in my case, I didn't see him for 35 years. I just shut him down. So this is the real journey. The real journey is inwards. The real journey is understanding that as above, below, as within, outside, everything is a beautiful mirror. We always start from within, and our inner child is the most important part of loving yourself, truly loving yourself. When you eventually just remove every single layer that doesn't belong to you, every single fear, anxiety, when you actually do that somatic therapy and you embrace and hug your inner child, is when you eventually can become your true self and live and recognize yourself free. And that is the real purpose for me. It's you, it's yourself, it's myself. Thank you so much for listening. We love you so much, and I send you many kisses. Big hug to you, big hug to your inner child.